Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace.com. Link in the description. Good morning, guys. This is I guess the first full day on board here on our expedition in Svalbard, and we just woke up to this. This is epic. And although it's already bright at 6 in the morning, it's still worthy of a photo. So awesome morning. We are in a fjord, just like the main fjord north of Longyearbyen, and we've seen there's a bearded seal out there. There were some reindeer around this morning, and we're off on our first Zodiac cruise now. So I'm really excited because this is so beautiful. So let's jump in the Zodiacs. When you're on an expedition ship, there are two types of excursions off the ship: Zodiac cruises and landings. In my experience, Zodiac cruising leads to the best images. It gives you not only the perspective of the entire landscape, but you have the freedom to explore whatever you think looks cool. On our first cruise, we didn't have that much luck. We spotted a few birds, and we were surrounded by really stunning views. But I got the feeling we were only just getting started. So we're back on board, Tom's here. It was pretty funny because it was a classic Thomas Heaton moment, Brendan Vanson moment. I was photographing big landscapes and Tom was photographing feathers on ice.
My whole boat was leaning over the side photographing the ice. It was brilliant.
It was actually pretty funny, but a good landing, a pretty thin landing for wildlife, just some birds and somebody saw a seal. Did you guys see the seal?
Yeah.
No. So yeah, but still a cool landscape. For sure. It's absolutely beautiful here when it was totally still. It was awesome. And I think we're going to cruise a little bit farther. And I'll take photos of more big landscapes and Tom will take more pictures of things that are down. That looks really bad. Things that are down. Yeah, anyway. We'll cut that out of the video.
No, keep it in.
So she said. After a quick lunch and a bit of repositioning of the ship, we headed off on our first landing. Okay, so we've made it on to land here. I'm trying to be quiet because there's actually a small herd of reindeer just over that way, a little bit far away. We're in, oh my God, I just learned the name of it and I've already forgot it, Dubus Odin or something like that. And it's absolutely beautiful here. Everything we've seen is so beautiful. You've got these little tarns, I guess you would call them, with mountain reflections. There's reindeer, and I've even heard a rumor that maybe there's a couple puffins nesting up here, so we're gonna wander around and see. We wandered through the boggy spring melting landscapes of Svalbard, and there were plenty of signs of life. There were a couple reindeer poking around, and birds circling. There was beauty everywhere. But beauty to the eye and beauty to the camera are always different things. I'm struggling to find photos. Eventually though, I did find a way to line up reindeer in a couple photos I liked. One with the reindeer looking at me, and one with her settled into the landscape. With a couple photos on the memory card, we headed back to the ship for the night. Okay, we're back on board. We had an awesome time on land. I wouldn't say there was anything epic, but we had a really good time. There was reindeer. I think I got a reindeer photo that's pretty good. And yeah, just had an awesome time. It is now like 10 p.m. and the sun is still up there. we don't get sunset here, and this is almost as low as it gets. So you're not gonna get epic sunsets on this trip, and the light is almost gonna be defined more by the cloud cover rather than the time of day. So this is awesome, just the water texture right now with these birds coming across it, and the mountains are awesome. We can blame Thomas Heaton for this image. Big landscapes, and I'm watching the water ripple. The next morning, we found ourselves again in beautiful weather and crazy landscapes. I would like coffee,
Yep.
extra sugar.
We only have, hang on. I can offer you a water or a Red Bull.
I would like half water, half Red Bull.
Okay.
No sugar. I just want to be clear on something. I had coffee, so I didn't need Tom's Red Bull or fancy photography skills. Loaded into the Zodiacs, we floated towards a Toblerone mountain and gentle rocky shores for another landing. Okay, so we just made land in Hornsund, and I don't know what's here, to be honest. I have no idea. Based on the smell, I can guess that there's some birds here. So let's go see what's up over this hill. Yeah, there's some birds. So many, actually. But I'm not sure they work as a photo. Okay, so I put away my long lens actually because there's so many wide angle images here. That said, we have to stay within a perimeter because of the danger of polar bears. So we have guys with guns up here, another guy with a gun way back there, and over there, and then we have this perimeter that we're allowed to photograph within. We can ask the guys to kind of extend that perimeter a little bit, which is what I'm doing right now, because I'm seeing all these awesome reflections out this way in the tide pool. So I'm gonna push a little bit beyond what our current perimeter is over to this area just here where these tide pools just look phenomenal. Wide angle lens and hopefully a couple photos to come. So I'm not using my tripod at all out here. I have it with me, but I'm not using it. I don't feel like it needs it. Yeah, there's a little bit of motion. I could slow down and get better reflections, but I feel like I kind of want these images to feel almost more like a snapshot than a normal nature image I would take, because I want them to feel more natural. I want them to feel more pristine and less manufactured, if that makes sense. I want these images to feel natural and naturally composed. So I'm out in the water and it's really slippery on these rocks, but I'm just trying to get among the rocks and just using the rocks as kind of like a foreground frame, and then the reflections in the midground, and then the mountains as the background. There's nothing happening in the sky but blue, so I'm almost just trying to get rid of that. The mountains, in a weird way, aren't my subject, they're my background. So that's kind of what I'm looking for, and I'm just gonna keep walking through the water here and trying to find more compositions. So my feet are soaked. I came sloshing through the tide pools because I saw this piece of ice and I thought it'd make a nice foreground or something like that. But instead, I really like an image with kind of a pano crop or a 16:9 crop straight across here, because you've got this really nice curve of this rock with the algae on it, and then the reflection in the middle, and it all kind of just curves together really beautifully. So again, this is a simple photo, no tripod. I'm doing f11, I think it's 1/50th of a second at 35 millimeters, and yeah, I think it's a pretty nice image. The fact that I can't photograph scenes like this at sunset is tricky, but it's a good thing for me. I think it forces me to think harder about my compositions, and it makes me think a little bit more outside the box in terms of things I photograph. Okay, I'm gonna blame Thomas Heaton for this, but we've got epic landscapes all around us. Reflections, huge peaks, birds, everything I love in the world. And I'm taking pictures of the ground. Yesterday we joked because we were in these epic landscapes and we went by Tom's Zodiac and everybody was pointing straight down. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm at this like kelpy bit of tide pool where there's some krill floating around, there's some shrimp floating around, and I'm photographing kelp straight down abstracts. I don't know if they're good. I've just been trying to copy Tom and shoot straight down sometimes and see what happens. But I do think that there's something there. And at the very least, it shows a different dimension. When you do travel photography, you can't just show the epic landscapes. You have to show the abstracts. You have to show the little things as well. So I've been photographing things straight down for a bit. Okay, I do blame Tom because this image didn't come out cool. It's definitely not my poor photography skills. It's Tom's fault. This landscape was awesome. And I'm feeling like as the days move along, every landing, every sighting is just ratcheted up a bit more. That afternoon, we hopped back on Zodiacs, out to a sheet of ice. I spotted a log-like seal catching some sun with the epic glacial background. I also did another Tom and took a photo straight down, although I actually like this photo of ice I took. Okay, so things have changed a bit. Yesterday we went off on a little bit of an excursion, found a seal and some ice, and then also found out that the weather was shifting and we had to shift our entire plan. One of the nice things about being on an expedition rather than like a cruise is we're in control of the itinerary. So when we saw the weather to the southwest of Svalbard getting bad, really windy, we've shifted gears. So we're no longer heading south, now we're pushing north. And so yeah, plans have changed. And this morning, we're in front of this incredible glacier off this way. I think we're hoping to land in front of it. So we're just gonna cruise up on the Zodiacs and see if there's a place to safely get right in front of this ice, because it is phenomenal. Plans change because of weather, but the fact that it's epic here hasn't changed at all. We cruised the Zodiac into the middle of a small iceberg graveyard. And while I think a lot of people were focused on the ice and the water, I spotted a mountainous section of glacier in the distance. I took out my long lens and used it to isolate the scene. So there were some awesome bits of ice out in front of the glacier here. Had a pretty nice time. I was trying to photograph abstracts. I think this is Thomas Heaton's fault. Tom's around, all of a sudden I'm shooting abstracts instead of epics. But that's okay. We've stopped on kind of a bit of moraine at the toe of the glacier. We're quite a ways away from the glacier and we're just gonna walk around, see if we find anything cool here. And then there's rumors of what are called or nicknamed toothwalkers, which are also known as walrus, just up there somewhere. So I think after this walk we're gonna go see if we can find some walrus, which would be amazing because there's polar bears here somewhere apparently, but I honestly want to see walrus as bad or maybe even more badly than I want to see polar bears. So I'm really excited for that. So I hope they're there. We didn't stay too long at the glacier because honestly, my mind was on the toothwalkers. I have a bit of a wildlife photography bucket list, and I don't know why, but I've always been fascinated by walrus. They're on top of the list. They're just so unique, so strange, so freaking big. And there they were, Just a pile of fat and teeth plopped down on a rocky beach in front of us. They didn't make the easiest photograph, but the light was beautiful and the surrounding landscape unreal. And with a couple frames of walrus, I think the best images actually came from a swarm of terns that shot overhead while we were sat at the walruses. I came away with a couple photographs of the terns that I absolutely love. As for Tom, is he finding photos on the floor of the Zodiac?
How'd the photos come out?
Yeah, good. All good. Beautiful light on the walrus.
When you're with me, do you feel more inspired to take vistas and like epic landscape photography? You do?
Yeah.
I've been taking pictures of the freaking ground for 2 days.
Yeah, well, that's the way it is. You come somewhere like this, you forget the mountains, forget the glaciers, just shoot the bubbles.
Travel all the way around the world to photograph the ground.
So that ended up being pretty awesome, I have to say. The walrus, the light, there was some terns, and the ice along the water was wicked as well. It's so beautiful here. The thing I'm definitely struggling with is I rely a lot on really good, beautiful light for some of my photographs, and you don't get that here because this is kind of as dark as it gets this time of year. So struggling with that, but definitely not struggling with the having fun and enjoying it. This is so beautiful and so much fun, and yeah, we're just having a great time. So I'm gonna end this video there, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Let me tell you quickly about today's sponsor. Squarespace is an amazing place for photographers and bloggers to build a really professional looking website really quickly and easily. It has a lot of templates that make it simple to get started. You have great resources too, like members only areas, easy to build stores for selling arts and even services. Of course, there's also lots of other great tools for creators such as a logo maker and in-depth analytics. So if you're looking for a photography website or portfolio, head to squarespace.com/BrendanVanson for a 10% discount on your first purchase. Link in the description.